I hope you didn't take me coming over as being a gentleman because I wasn't part of it.
Fine, no problem.
I just would have a chat with you and I might come over a bit, so I apologise.
No, it's just that one of the problems they always have when they're filming is, you know, people dropping into the background with a banner, whether it's something on Iran or whatever.
Yeah.
Just,
this is a very important
decision. I understand that. It's just when you came over to us at Derby, because you had a delegation of Rolls-Royce, you come over to us in Derby in March. I'm just a bit upset that you said that the future Bombardier looks good. You'd sort of like look at the apprentices on the computers and all that, etc., etc. We were actually told not to ask you about the 10-thing contract at the time.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to say anything at the time because I didn't.
Why can't you? Sorry to interrupt you, but why can't you reverse it? We've got a lot of people.
Right. I've said this a number of times, so you know the answer.
We don't actually, because you keep changing your mind.
We just say one person. Sure. One person talk.
The ITT, which Labour in government set out in 2008, sets out the parameters on which the project will be assessed and the criteria against which the decision will be made. The legal advice is that we cannot vary those once the competition has started. The only option available to the Secretary of State would be to cancel the procurement. That I could do. I've said this consistently throughout. I have the power to cancel the entire procurement. That would not deliver an order to Bombardier. That would simply throw away the billions of pounds we've already invested in the infrastructure of Thameslink and delay the passenger benefits by several years.
Mr. Hammond, can I just say, sorry to interrupt you, is that the principle and the repercussions are so great that you know you've got a big meeting in Canada soon, in Montreal, with the hierarchy, the high brass at Bombardier. All they're going to say in this meeting is, if your own government doesn't support you and back you, then why should we stay in the UK?
Okay, well, all I can say to you is that having taken the decision that we effectively had to take, because that was the outcome of the competition, we are working closely with the management of Bombardier.
But I've seen so many people crying, upset, because they've lost their jobs, the families, the apprentices, you know, they've got no future. Derby, it's always been, since 1840, the nucleus for train building. It's so overwhelmingly important you keep trains going from Derby, and that's not an understatement.
And that is why we are working with the management, looking at bringing forward some other opportunities that Bombardier would be able to bid for. As you know about the Voyager, the electrification
we want to see
of
if
the
you've got
Voyager.
a heart. We want to see if you've got that heart.
We hope that's not too
is that heart there?
Well, I hope it's not too late.
Can I just say, what incentive have you given Bombardier to stay in the UK? You've given Bombardier no incentive to stay in the UK at the moment. Why should they stay now?
We've made a very clear statement that we are reviewing public procurement policy to look at how we do public procurement in this country to make sure that we do not disadvantage UK firms.
Should you not be attracting industry into Britain though, rather than pushing it out through the back door?
Listen to what I'm saying. We've said that we will review the way we do public procurement in order to make sure that we are, I think the words we use, we're taking into account the full strategic impact on the supply chain. We've delayed the Crossrail procurement so that we can take into account what we learn from that review before we issue the Crossrail ITT. And in the meantime, we're working very closely with the company, looking at the opportunities that we can bring forward in order to maintain a viable train building operation in Derby. I have to say this, the level of operation that was running in Derby over the last couple of years was never going to be sustainable in the long term. That's why the company hired lots of agency and contract staff, because they knew they could not maintain the business at that level. The pattern of UK train requirement, was never going to support that level of activity. What we have got to get to is a sustainable level of activity that we can maintain in the UK over the long term.
Can I just ask one more question? Hindsight is a beautiful thing, right? Now, in hindsight, would you have made the same decision if you knew the impact that it would have had on our company and our town?
The person you need to ask that to is Tom Harris.
No, you made the decision. You made the decision. You're the government.
Tom Harris.
You made the decision
to
give the order to Siemens.
One at a time.
Ministers make decisions on the basis of legal advice, and the legal advice was, and I can't talk to you about what the bids were from the two.
Well, yeah, we understand that. We know the damage that's already been done, though, don't we?
It will become public eventually, but I can't talk about it yet because we haven't contracted. The legal advice was very clear that we had no option but to accept the bid that Siemens made.
No option.
No option.
With all due respect, that doesn't, them decisions don't
Right,
help people
guys.
shop floor.
No, I understand, absolutely.
Surely you've got an option. You've got two suppliers.
Unconstrained. Government is not able to ride.
You've got an
roughshod over
option,
the law.
Philip.
We have to comply
You
with
have
the
an
law.
option because you've got Siemens and Bombardier. There's your options.
No, it's
surely.
not. I mean, it's
So
it's
basically,
simply-
it was a
look,
waste of time
let me
Bombardier
just
even
say-
tendering.
Let me just say something.
Because you'd already made your mind up.
No, that's complete rubbish. That's
Well,
absolute
I hope
rubbish.
it is.
We didn't know what the outcome of the tenders was going to be until we looked at the final bids. Bombardier has won 14 orders for trains since privatisation. In every one of those orders, Bombardier has bid against other bidders, and Bombardier has won. It's won the order not because it was
Not as
British,
big as one as this one,
not
though.
because it was anything else, but because it delivered the best bid. You would have been outraged if somebody had looked at one of those bids and said, "We're not going to take that. We're going to take a different one." You have to give the award to the company that has won the competition
I
according
don't think
to the
it's as
rules.
simple
Right,
as that.
it's a simple thing as
I
this.
don't
Could
think
I
it's
just
as
say that,
simple
Mr.
as
Hammond,
that.
we've had a
I
conversation
think it was.
briefly, we asked a question last week. Right, now, we've just been in with MPs, being part of the committee, and this is all the backing from the shop floor, but there's members of There's the a lot more committee than this, here. there's a lot more there's- backing. We've just come out to say, but we know, we've been in a lot of meetings where we get to know a lot of questions and answers and know the reality of it. When the Labour, the last government, who you blame, not yourself personally, but the government blamed them for the procurement.
They set out the ITT.
They award the IEP order to Hitachi, just corrected it. However, they pulled it back to re-look at it.
Yep.
Right. I think we get confused, and rightfully
Right,
so.
well, let me
Yeah.
correct. What they did, they stopped the IEP procurement and they asked Sir Andrew Foster to look at it and decide whether that was the right way to deal with the requirement that we had. So the choice they were looking at was whether to go ahead with IEP, with Hitachi, or cancel IEP. That was the straight binary choice. And as I've already said, it would be in the power of the Secretary of State to cancel the Thameslink procurement. But that means cancel it. It doesn't mean, resurrected by the back door. Legally, it will have to be cancelled. Forget it. If, for example, we come to the conclusion in the spending review, we didn't know that Thameslink would get the go-ahead. We come to the conclusion in the spending review that we could not afford to do Thameslink. We would have cancelled the procurement. That would have been the end of it. That would not have helped you.
No. Right. Then also, you've also said that you also hear from a lot of the people saying, do a U-turn, change the order to ourselves. The reality is that we're not asking for that. We're not asking for special treatment. What we're asking for you to do is when Teresa Villiers came out with, we did not look into the social impact. I can't understand how a government, people who's experienced, and you get specialised people looking into that, didn't look into it. So I can't buy that one. However,
Let me explain
when
to
that
you.
happens,
Let me explain to you. And if you will have looked at the select committee hearing, where I appeared and several other people appeared, the guy, the expert from the European Commission, was asked precisely that question by one of the members. Could they have taken into account the socio-economic impact of the decision? And the answer was yes, but only if they'd included in the ITT a socio-economic impact clause. Ask Tom Harris why they didn't put it in.
Okay.
It wasn't us that designed the ITT.
Now,
You had 12 months to change
Within the
that, though.
ITT, page 16 states, or somewhere on page 16, does state that part of the ITT requirement is to have a proven, deliverable and compliant equipment, i.e. a bogey. We all know Siemens don't have that. It's not been proven, yet the decision is still going ahead. Can you explain that, please?
Well, the technical advice is that both bids required evolution, development of an existing product.
As well as proven.
Well,
Bombardier's is proven.
Bombardier's bogey is proven, but
It's
there
there.
are other parts of the package that would require evolution, and the technical advice we received is that both bids would comply with that requirement.
But
Yeah,
Siemens is only on the drawing board, though. It's only a picture, isn't
Look,
it?
when you order new equipment that's going to have to last for 30 years, you are always asking your providers to push
Mr.
the
Hammond,
cutting
it
edge
took us 10
to move
years
forward.
to
People-
develop and to build our bogies. 10 years.
or to develop it. Unfortunately, it's built in Germany.
Well, okay, it's taken 10 years from the start to the finish, and you're expecting Siemens to get everything into place.
It's an evolution.
Within
of
three.
It's an evolution of an existing product.
But why require an evolution when you've got the actual proven, solid thing in front of you now? It's
Because
proven.
The ITT set out the specification, and there is a technical compliance and a deliverability measure within the appraisal of the bids. And the technical